Hi, everyone. How are you? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So, I've been talking a lot about Harry and Meghan's PSYOP, their cognitive warfare against us, teamed up with NATO, World Health Organization that Harry and Meghan work with, particularly NATO. And they're fixated on especially Twitter, right? That CCDH, Imran Ahmed, said he wanted to kill Twitter. So this is where the action is. You want to see the front lines of this war. You pay attention to what's going on Twitter as much as you can stand it. And anyways, so Harry and Meghan, they have been, of course, we know, creating divisiveness and generating hate in order to push for digital ID, to bring in, the digital ID is the linchpin to bring in everything else, the CBDCs and social credit system. And also Harry and Meghan with the AI videos to confuse people to not trust what they see, anything. So something real, people could think it's AI, or something AI, people think is real. I see people discussing this video that I recently covered of Meghan doing the flowers with the children popping in and out, and people are treating it like it's real. And they're doing this with every AI video Harry and Meghan come out with. Well, now there's another angle here. So we know that Harry and Meghan are headed back to the UK to join the royal family. First, they're doing Invictus, and then they're joining the royal family. And there's the BBC just came out with something that is, I think, a fascinating study in propaganda. And so keep in mind that they want to bring Harry and Meghan back in. We know that the last time Harry and Meghan were in the UK, and when they left for Megxit, they claimed it was racism. Everybody's a racist. Britain is racist, right? That everybody was suddenly, all these people up screaming about racism everywhere. The BLM, backed by the globalists, pushing this agenda. So I think we're back to the race now. If Meghan's going to be coming back, they're going to be it looks like they're flipping out the race card again. And it's, instead of having Misan Harriman coming out complaining that some tobacco store has a picture from the 1800s of a tobacco field, now they're moving to BBC here, which we know is completely compromising by the globalists of all the mainstream media. And they came out with this. So I don't know if you've seen this or not. I think it's made quite a number of waves here. Well, let's see. Yeah, so it's a good song. Yeah, they always come up with the catchy tunes. Yeah, they really do. And, human beings have always, music is a way of really consciously and unconsciously getting in our minds, and we can't forget a song if it's a catchy lingo. And this is why the globalists throughout the decades have always come up with their jingles for their commercials. And so when they're pushing a new social propaganda, the cultural revolution going on that they're pushing from the top down, they're using these, of course, they target children's media as well as women's magazines and whatnot. But it's very important. They're always good with the music, right? We know how satanic the music industry is. But so they have very catchy tunes. And you know what this reminds me of? Just as an aside, in a similar vein, there's another video, and this is pertaining to, alongside this racist stuff, the anti-white racist stuff, is also the transgender stuff and how they're pushing that on children. And I got this video from watching Carolyn Boriseco that I always highly recommend, called Expressing Myself My Way. And check out how catchy this song is. People, who are totally against this Marxist communist movement, they still like the video. You can't help it with the catchy music. Now, of course, this is targeting more white people, I think, so it's less funky, but it's still catchy. Here we go.
No matter how you're born, we each have a style. I'll tell you in a while exactly what I like.
Ariana and Renee, they both are born girls. They go into their changing rooms. Ariana loves twirls. That's not for Renee. Pink will not do. All girls don't wear dresses, they wear pants too. Has Renee lost her mind? What's running through her head? Ariana can fix this, no is what she said.
When you put it on, you do a little groove. You know you've gotta move. That's how you know you've got it right.
This is me, who I am. See me in full color, it's me like no other. Originality.
No matter how you're born, we each have a style. I'll tell you in a while exactly what I like.
Bryce and Jason, they both are born boys. They go into their changing rooms. Bryce jumps out with joy. Jason has a different idea. The sweater is where it's at. Bryce has to fix this. Here, try this or that. Wait just 1 second. Don't tell him how to dress. Ariana knows this. Only Jason can express.
This is me, who I am. See me in full color, it's me like no other. Originality.
No matter how you're born, we each have a style. I'll tell you in a while exactly what I like.
Darla and Charles, one girl and one boy. They go into their changing rooms. Charles is feeling coy. Others are thrilled with the look, but Charles is quite unhappy. Let's try this again. Yeah, this is snappy. Some are confused. They just don't understand. Charles, now Charlotte is certain. Ariana's her biggest fan. Some might keep their distance, but others will come around. Come on over, Darla. Show us what you found. Darla had something on, but is not quite convinced. She wants to try again, yet she still gives a wince. Nope, not right either. Why can't she decide? Sometimes it takes time, only she can find her stride. Darla presents an outfit. The new name is Darren. Now everything feels right. The person within he's sharing.
When you put it on, you do a little groove. You know you've gotta move. That's how you know you've got it right.
This is me, who I am. See me in full color, it's me like no other. Originality.
Here we have Skylar, born a boy or girl. Not interested in the girl look. Won't give the boy look a whirl. Skylar wants a new path, and it isn't one of those. This is a unique look from Skylar's head to toe.
When you put it on, you do a little groove. You know you've gotta move. That's how you know you've got it right.
This is me, who I am. See me in full color, it's me like no other. Original is me, who I am. See me in full color, it's me like no other.
So this, I believe, is part of the newer sex ed that they do in schools now. It's not like the old days. It's simply talking about, heterosexual. Now it's everything. So it's a whole course. You'll probably be able to get a degree soon in it, if not already. But so you see how they really get the catchy grooves going to make it more a fad and to make it popular with the young people. But anyways, back to Britain. So you've got Meghan and Harry returning, the two who wanted an apology forever for the racist royal family and who won an award for fighting, structural racism, I believe. So they're coming back. So this is coming out from the BBC. And not only that, there's other things going on. You had King Charles, who brought in Nigerian rulers and to celebrate Muslim holiday. And Dan Wooten covered this, a Ramadan Muslim state dinner. And the anti-Christian president of Nigeria, the president of Nigeria and his wife, I guess, or vice president, all of them. So this is another change since Harry and Meghan left. Now, of course, when Meghan first entered the royal family, the first thing she did was to do a fundraiser and a book with Muslim women, or basically Muslim women at the Grenfell Towers. And now we're here, and now it's Prince Charles is now King Charles, and now they're having Ramadan state dinners. So this is another think how things have evolved since Megxit. Let's play a part of this.
Not even the state dinner is safe from the UK's seemingly official capitulation to Islam. In scenes last night that the mainstream media are either embracing or completely ignoring, King Charles adapted the most important function in our country to Ramadan for the anti-Christian Nigerian President Tinubu in scenes that I believe would have left the late Queen Elizabeth II turning in her grave.
Right. So we all know that Harry and Meghan went to Nigeria, which has murdered tens of thousands of Christians, which you don't hear about much in the mainstream media, a little bit here and there. And that's going on. So is this just more proof that Harry and Meghan are working with the royal family? First, Harry and Meghan go there to Nigeria, and they're treated like royals. And Meghan is half dressed, totally inappropriate. But then here you've got this as well. So this has been like slowly accumulating over the years, more and more, since Meghan entered the royal family and this transfer of power from Queen Elizabeth to King Charles. So it really does look like Meghan was a catalyst for King Charles to bring in. It was obvious from the beginning with Meghan at Grenfell Towers, and of course then going on Harry and Meghan with quote unquote refugees that were all Muslim and helping them out. And donating money to them all of this years. You could tell Meghan, it seems to me that Meghan was brought in to introduce the integrating Muslims into the royal family. And then when King Charles took over, now he's doing it more and more. It's quite obvious to everyone that he's not a defender of the Christian church. So you've got the racist aspect that Harry and Meghan bring in. You've got the bringing in Islam into everything, taking over. There's tons of videos about that, what's going on everywhere. And then you even have this. This is another one that just came out about decolonization. They want to decolonize, which is a Marxist communist thing, right? Because they consider capitalism to be colonizers, right? So they want to decolonize anything built on capitalism. So it's like this, again, double speak going on. So you've got Shakespeare's birthplace to be decolonized over fears that his success, quote, benefits ideology of white European supremacy. Now, this has been going on for years in higher education, who's, of course, directly influenced by the globalist agenda. They're the ones that started all, and as Professor Hamamoto points out, it all, this is how they trickle down from the globalists down to the people, is going through the universities, particularly Harvard and Columbia and Princeton, all that. They bring it all down, and they, for years already, as was, the alarm was sent years ago by that a young woman, I can't remember her name, but she escaped North Korea, and she was sounding the alarm about communism coming into America via the university, because she went to Columbia or something. And when she went there, she went to study English literature. And normally you would read the classics, right? Jane Austen and et cetera, et cetera. Well, when she went, because of the Marxist communist agenda coming in, they didn't want any white authors. So you were not allowed to read Jane Austen or any of the other British writers, including Shakespeare, because they're considered racist, So now here we are a few years later, and they're decolonizing, whatever that means. They are tearing down statues as well, any white male statues they're tearing down around the UK. And they've done that here in the US in 2020 when BLM was, again, a globalist-backed group, was, using its evil throughout the country and just, it's very communist, right? Trying to purge the past. They're trying to rewrite history and purge everything out. And it looks like they want to do that to Shakespeare. I mean, oh my God, you don't know whether to laugh or cry, but this is basically a color revolution, cultural Marxist communist, revolution going on before our eyes. And Harry and Meghan are like a linchpin of it. They're very much a part of all of it and playing their part. So this again is part, in my opinion, of the cognitive warfare. I mean, how else could you look at all of this and see what's going on and not see how they're effing with everybody's minds? I see it's mind effery warfare, and designed again to evoke strong emotional reactions, and I mean the absurdity of it, and but they're continuing on with it, and it all depends on how influenced you choose to be by the mainstream media and through the public school systems that are obviously being controlled by their narratives, which is why homeschooling has been becoming more and more popular. And Carolyn Borisenko tells everyone, take your kids out of school, just homeschool. Like everybody needs to homeschool because this is what they're doing, and they've been doing this with climate change as well. Kids in public schools in the UK, I read not long ago that if they didn't include like the talking points of the globalists, all of this anti-white racism and climate change and all of that, if they didn't include that in answers to everything they wrote about, they failed. Like you couldn't pass unless you pushed their propaganda, their ideology. So very pervasive. And I just find it interesting that leading up to Harry and Meghan returning to the UK, to the British royal family, that it's not going away. It's amping up more and more. Like Harry and Meghan are amping up their attack on Tom Bauer by, calling their lawyers and sending a letter to Variety. So another way they amped it up, like I mentioned in the last video, Harry and Meghan usually never say anything about books coming out, but now they're coming out with statements accusing Tom Bauer of being fixated and obsessed with them and deranged, and getting their talking heads on ITV to attack Tom Bauer verbally and be very abrasive, antagonizing him. So not only that, but also with this, with other propaganda coming in seemingly unrelated to them. But this is all, again, part of the globalist agenda that Harry and Meghan work for. They've got all these different avenues coming in for them. And another way Harry and Meghan also have been ramping it up besides those two things, making a statement and the ITV journalists, but also by having their lawyer send a letter to Variety magazine to try to stop them from publishing an article exposing Harry and Meghan and their downfall in Hollywood from Netflix in particular, and how Netflix people hated working with Meghan, and Ted Sarandos wouldn't get on a call with her, meet with her without a lawyer to protect himself. So that was the rumor. They denied it, but this is what they heard, and Variety published it. Variety published it even though Harry's lawyer tried to stop it and Netflix tried to stop it, but Variety was like, nope, we're publishing it. So Harry and Meghan are ramping things up with their statements, sicking their lawyers on journalists in America now, not just the UK. I assume they've been doing that in the UK, but also with all this propaganda coming out is really ramping up the same topics that Harry and Meghan were ramping up when they did Megxit. So yeah, so I see again, I see all of this coming out as all the events and things coming out through the mainstream media as ramping up of Harry and Meghan's cognitive warfare on Britain and the US via social media, from tanks to tweets. So there you have it. That is what I have for you today. I would love to know what you thought of all of this. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye, everyone.